There were nearly 100 divers on site. Emergency services, the US Army, and volunteers also out in force, all prepared and rehearsed for the first underwater extraction. At 1:30 a.m., tragedy.
Breaking news out of Thailand, where a former Thai Navy SEAL has died during rescue operations.
Saman Kunen, seen here with the rescue team, was on an overnight mission to place air cylinders inside the cave. It's believed his own air ran out.
This has taken on a whole new level of seriousness. There's a sense of mourning here today.
It's raised serious doubts about how they'll get the 12 boys and their coach out alive.
How would the boys escape a cave that can kill even the best divers? Diving in Tam Luang had already taken one life. It was an even greater threat to children who had never dived before. But the greatest danger of all lay not in the cave, but in the heads of the boys themselves.
If you take an inexperienced person underwater, then there is a high probability that they're going to panic. How were they going to cope with something as traumatic as the prospect of diving where you can't see a hand in front of your face?
If they'd have panicked underwater, they could have not only killed themselves, they could have dragged our regulators out of our mouths. We didn't want them to die, and we didn't want to die ourselves.
So the divers made the most radical decision of the rescue: to sedate the children.
There was a consensus amongst all the divers we weren't going to risk doing it without them being sedated.
Doctors tailored a different mix of anesthetics for every child, depending on age and weight. No one had ever attempted to dive with unconscious children before.
Having to sedate these youngsters to such a level that they were incapacitated but remain alive, and then be thrust into the cold water, was an extremely risky proposition.
As we were planning it, we were thinking, you know, there could be some of these kids that are going to die.
And as our cave data reveals, using a sedative left the cave divers with a further complication. To extract each boy through the 5 sumps would take 3 to 5 hours. But a safe dose of sedative would last just an hour or less. And so, to prevent the boys from waking, the divers would have no option. They'd have to inject them during the rescue.
Never actually done it before, and yes, it was the first time. I was quite nervous, obviously.
And they could only do that in the dry parts of the cave, between sumps, not underwater. Something that would bring diver Jason Mallinson close to disaster.